folks, and welcome back to another Wise Game video. Ooh, it's been a couple of weeks since I came out with a video, and I'm dying to dive into this one. We're playing this new MMORPG game called Black Desert Online, and we're going to go over a lot of the different functions about this game, so you can see if it's worth playing or not. It's totally up to you. Now, the video might be rather long because I want to cover a lot of topics that I've seen some great video coverages about this game, but I want to try to compile all those into this one video, so we'll see how that goes. Now, Black Desert Online's been out for about, well, for North America, it came out in 2016. So it's not brand new, but it's fairly new for an MMO market right now. It was released in the East, Korea and all that, 2014. Now here we are at the starting screen. I'm not going to show you how to start a character. Almost every video has that. And I think most people that's been playing MMORPG games kind of get the gist of how to do that. So basically before this point you would actually go into your create a new character, go over the facials and things like that that you want to use. Now this game has a huge character creation screen. You could spend 2 hours in there if you really want to. Me, I just pick a basic look that looks decent, and I'm good to go. So what I do want to show you in this game, though, is once we hit start, it's going to take a little bit. No, actually, it went right in there. Okay, so that was pretty good. Now with this game, I want to kind of go over the servers a little bit. Now the servers in this game, I understand there is some PvP servers, and then there's just your regular normal servers. But we'll get into what the difference is a little bit later in the video. But this is one game that's got a unique server system in this game. And what I mean by this is you could start your character on any one of these servers, but you always have the options of switching to any server you want to, basically. You don't have to pay for it or anything like that. It's just by pushing a button. You could go from one server to the other server. Now, if you're just starting off with this game, most people recommend the Olivia servers because those give you a 100% experience bonus. So it's always good to start on these servers first, and then you could bounce to whichever server you want to later on. The only time I did have to go to a particular server was to join the guild that I'm in, because you have to go on that guild's main server to join them. Once you get in the guild, then you could just bounce from server to server if you want to. So once you do that, I'm going to play the last server that I've been playing on. So I'm just going to click on this button right down here at the bottom. It says last server connected. So I'm just going to click on that. And here's my character right here. And then we're just going to hit connect here. And we should get into the game. Okay, and here we are logged into the game now. And when you first play the game for the first time, you're going to look at this game and go, man, there's so much stuff on my screen, I don't know where to begin. Don't get overwhelmed by it. Some of the stuff's not even that important, but you may want to play for an hour or so just to see which ones are important or not. And even then, it might not even be a good judgment as far as that goes. But you could usually get a feel shortly after you first log into the game. Now, the first thing you're going to see, too, is a lot of text, a lot of messages being posted, and it's in pretty big font sizes on the top of the screen of the game, but we're going to show you how to get around a lot of that stuff. So in the first part of this video, we're going to be going over starting off the game, cleaning up your UI a bit to the way that you like it and you're happy with. So the first thing we're going to do, let's go over a few important key factors first. The main key in the game when it comes to interacting, like accepting things, talking to NPCs in the game, quest givers or whatnot, is your R key. R is in red. So that's going to be your main key when it comes to anything like that. Your control key is also going to be very important too. We're going to get into that in just a couple of minutes. Now, if you notice my logo on the video where it says Wise Game is pretty large, is because I'm trying to block out a lot of the chats that we don't need to say. So, to get started, your escape key on your keyboard is going to open up your main menu. In the main menu, you could access any information you're looking for in this game right here. Now, each one also has its own individual key that you could use, like world map is M, inventory is I, so on and so forth. So the first thing I want to show you is the hotkey map. This is going to let you know which keys is assigned to what in the game, so you know. So very easy. We're just going to go back, open up, hit the escape key. Right up on the top here is your hotkey map. We're going to look at that, and we're going to see again what the defaulted setup is as far as your keyboard goes and even your mouse commands. So this shows you right here. Another good thing is if we open up the escape menu again is the settings. Now in settings, this is where you could set up the video, the audio, the actual game settings, and then here's a lot of cool things that you could either uncheck or check on. And right down here is that notification thing I was telling you about that you're going to be seeing a lot for the first time logging into this game. It's called turn off system notifications. So all you have to do is just go through this list, put a check mark next to each one that you don't want to see anymore, hit apply and confirm, and you should be all set. Another thing in this game too is as far as the inputs go. This game you could actually use a game controller if you wish to. Because don't forget, this game is also made to play on consoles like PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. I don't know if it's actually out yet for Xbox One, but from what I understand, they're supposed to be making it for Xbox One also. So if you want to use a gamepad, you can. You could also, of course, use the keyboard and mouse. I use a combination right now of the gamepad and my mouse. And some keys to open up certain menus. To do this, all you have to do is just come in here, plug in your game controller, of course. And in here is where you can map it to whichever button you want to assign it to. So if I wanted to change this one, say, I would just click on it. It's going to change the color to like a brownish. I'm going to hit on my controller the one that I want to use to actually use this function one right here. And that's how you would set that up. Same with your keyboard. And there's also one right here too for, let's see here, for UI hotkeys. Show, hide cursor, knowledge base, beep, bop. It's all right in here also. So for now, we're just going to hit cancel. We're going to go back here. And let's see what else we want to go over as far as the UI go. Okay, this is a big one right here. This is where, see how we're looking at my screen? We could see the mini map up there. Now, I got my game blown up a little bit because my eyesight's not so good anymore. And I got it now where I could see it a little bit better. So you got the option of doing that too. But you got the option of, if you don't want to see a lot of this stuff, I already cleaned up mine. It had a lot more stuff on it before I did. But if you don't want to see some of this stuff, I'm going to show you how you could get around that. So right here you click almost right in the middle of the menu, the Edit UI. Once you click on that, you're going to see all the rectangles, the blocks, the boxes, whatever you want to call them, that harnesses that kind of information. So if you don't want to see that, you got the option right up here with these eyeballs of shutting it on or off. So you just click on these eyeballs right up here in the top right corner, and you could turn it on or off. Once you've done that, you hit save or the enter key, and then hit the X up here, and you should be good. And then when you're all done playing for the day, you want to disconnect, you just come right down here, hit disconnect, and you're all set. Okay, so the most important key so far that we went over so far is the escape key to open up your main menu. The control key we're going to be going over next. That's for the cursor in the game. The R key, as in red, is going to be your interaction key. And then there's a few other keys that's very important too. But again, you could always go to that map that I showed you and set in the menu, and it's going to let you know what those all are. Now, as far as the cursor goes in this game, it's what I call like a locked battle cursor. So if we played games like, oh, I don't know, like Final Fantasy 14, World of Warcraft, and things like that, a lot of those games always have a cursor available that you can control with your mouse, of course. And you could click on virtually anything in those games with just using your mouse if you wanted to. In this game, that's not so. In this game, you have the cursor and then you have the non-cursor. So right now with the cursor showing, I could click on things on my menu, open up menus and things of that nature, but I can't fight or even move my guy. So to do that, you got to hit the control key. That's the default is. You could always change it later on if you want to. So now I click the control key, and now I can move my guy around, but I can't click on anything now on the screen. So now you'd have to do full keyboard or whatever. So that's an important thing about this game too. And at first it took me really a lot getting used to, and I wasn't sure if I was going to continue playing this game just because of that. Because I do like clicking options at times too, not always using a keyboard. But it depends on how you map it. Like what I did was that I mapped it with my scroll button on my mouse, because my hands are always on the mouse, and it's nothing for me to just press down on the scroll wheel. Boom, it's on. It's off, whatever. So that works out pretty good for me. So that's a lot of the basics when it comes to the UI. But there's one other important thing I want to show you too, is down here, sometimes he shows up bigger over here, or if you go back to the escape menu, he's also in here, and it's called the Black Spirit. The Black Spirit is your go-to guy in this game, especially when it comes to starting this game off. He's going to explain different things about the game to you. Plus, he's going to be giving you your main quests. So you want to make sure that you do those quests. The quests in this game don't really give you the experience points. It's the mob kills that gives you the most. So it's a lot of mob grinding in this game if you want to get up to high levels. Some of the quests will give you a little bit of experience, but the quests are not the main hub of getting experience points in Black Desert Online or BDO. So if we click on the Black Spirit, right up here, on the bottom right corner of your screen, here's his menu. And he's a very handsome chap. Alright, but anyways, let's click on Quest. And in Quest, you're going to see any available quests he has showing. Then you would just click on it again, hit accept, just follow it, until it says next to it, in progress. Once it says that, then you get the quest. Let's hit the escape. Let's go back to him. This time I'm going to go back to him in the bottom of my screen. There he is right there. It's going to take him back out. And there's a couple of other things too. I'm going to try to speed up this video. My last one was over an hour because I tried to explain a lot of things in this game, and that's just way too long. So I'm going to come out with other follow-up videos to get more into deeper details about this stuff. But he does enhancement. Enhancement basically builds up your weapon and your gears if you have the right materials for it, which is stones in the game, and then, of course, your weapon, gears. But I do recommend just using colorful gears and weapons. Don't use anything that's black or gray because they're junk. It'd be a waste of enhancement. He also does transfusion. I haven't done much of that yet, so I don't know too much about it. Item reform or whatnot. He's also got a guide, and it tells you a little bit about how to fish, how to trade, how to cook, and so on and so forth. So that's basically a fast lowdown of the Black Spirit. But he is definitely your go-to guy in this game when it comes to quests and stuff. The way that the time runs in this game is off of game time. It doesn't have anything to do with server locations. Some games, it runs off of server locations. So say if that server that they're using is from Texas, the time and the weather in your game is going to react to what's going on at the area in Texas usually. Not always, but I think some of the games actually operate that way. This game does not. So this game, the time runs a lot faster than our real life time does. So right now, it says 8:55 p.m. in the game for me. All right. So that does not reflect again that you're playing on a server that's in Japan or something. It has nothing to do with that. So it's actual game time. But this goes by really fast because the 56 is in like seconds. It's not minutes. So this is going to go by really fast, and before you know it, after a couple of hours, it's going to be morning time again in the game. Now, the reason why I'm going over this too is because nighttime is the best time if you want to mob grind and do a lot of mob kills. Because they give you more experience points, there's more of them out there, they're nocturnal, some of them, so they're only going to really appear during nighttime scaling in the game. What other things do as far as nighttime and daytime goes in the game, as far as reactions of towns and stuff, I'm not really 100% sure on yet, so I'm not really going to get any deeper into that at this moment. The map of the game. If you press the M key, it's going to open up the world map. Now, the world map is very overwhelming. It could take a 2-hour video just to cover everything you could do in the world map. So we're just going to go over some of the key details just to get you started in this game. When you open up the world map, it's going to look like this. Every icon is going to be active. It's going to be very cluttered looking and very busy looking. So what you want to do sometimes is, if you're not interested in doing fishing right now, you just started the game, you just want a quest, you want to get familiar with the actual game, you may want to shut some of these off so it gives you a cleaner looking map. I usually shut off that compass looking thing because I don't really need that. So that's one thing I shut off. It already looks a little bit better to me. Then if you want to shut off fishing spots, that's not really going to do a lot because they're small icons. So as far as the map goes, you've got all these features up here that you could activate or deactivate. Now, with the mouse wheel, we could scroll in and out of this map, and it's a very huge map in game. The game is huge. You don't really see any areas filled in until you discover them. So this is the only area I've been in so far, so that's the only one that looks the way it does. The rest is just all green or gray or whatever. Also on the right hand side of the map, and we could see our little black spirit right there too, that little icon right there. Right to the right of the map here too is some tutoring, I mean. That's going to tell you and explain to you what nodes and navigation's about, purchase and residence, which is houses in the game. You could buy houses in the game, and the world map menu and all that, and what each one of these things mean. So there's a lot of good information in the game. If you have this feature on, let me see, that one right there, is that it? Yeah, that's it. If we have that feature on right there, and we scroll into the map, we're going to get an idea of each area with these mobs, what their level's at. So you know, before you go there, if you're too low or too high for that level, and you're wasting your time if you're too high. Especially when you're too low. Like, you don't want to be level 5 and you're going to a level 20, 22 area. You just don't want to do that. So this is going to let you know that, which is pretty cool. But if you stay on the path of the quest given to you, it shouldn't take you to a place that's much stronger. And again, I'll get into more deep details if I continue making videos of this game, of how each one of these things work. So that's the basic right now as far as the map goes. Again, like I said, quests in this game are not your main means of getting experience levels for your character. It's killing mobs and even doing stuff like crafting. Crafting's a huge thing in the game. I really haven't done too much crafting yet myself, but crafting in this game's a big thing too. So if you like games where there's a lot of that stuff going on, then you would love this game. But keep in mind, this game is also really centralized around PvP. It's not really a PvE raid dungeon game. It's not like most of the MMOs out there. It's a sandbox structured MMORPG, which means compared to a theme type game like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy, those games are more driven towards the law and the PvE side of things. Even though they have both PvP and PvE, most players do the PvE on those games now. And also, a sandbox game doesn't really have any boundaries. It doesn't have anything that keeps you linear. It's not a linear gameplay. You could pretty much do what you want once you start off your character. You know, of course, you can't do everything in the game yet because you haven't been, you're not high enough to open up those functions. But you're not just following a storyline. You could go off and just kill mobs for a week and try to get some experience. It's not glued. You don't have to be glued to a certain thing that you have to do. Most MMOs have a lot of freedom, but sandbox games have tons of freedom. Plus, they don't have set queuing systems. Like, in other words, in this game, you don't just hang out in a town when you're at a high level and just sit on your ass and queue up for something and wait for the queue to pop. You got to actually go off and do these things. And the only really PvE I know of in this game, except for mob grinding, is world bosses every now and then, and a few other things. But you're not going to find 25-man raids in an actual structured dungeon or anything like that. It's not that kind of a game. So I wanted to get that out there because that's something you want to know at the beginning of the video so you have an idea if this game's for you or not. Now, there is also mounts in the game. Now, the game's getting pretty dark right now because it's 9:30 p.m. game time-wise. And there's also mounts in the game. Here's a stable keeper right here. I got my first mount without even going for it, without even trying. I guess it just came along while I was doing a main story quest. And at level 14, I went to a stable master. I talked to him, and he says, give me your icon or your emblem or whatever. And it was something I had already in my bags. I gave that to him, and he gave me my first horse. So I was able to get my first horse. And if we go up to the stable keeper right here and hit the R button, the accept button, and then go to stable, we're going to see the two mounts that I now own. This is my current mount, my main mount, which is my horse, and here's my donkey that I got not too long ago. There's differences with mounts in the game. The donkeys can hold a little more inventory for you and things of that nature. So we'll try to get more into mounts in a later video. Now, you could check in your mounts when you're done for the day or whatever. You don't have to. It doesn't really do anything as far as I know. I've asked around and people says, nah, there's no really such thing as resting in this game or anything like that. So you can log off pretty much anywhere. You just don't want to die if you go AFK. And then there's also a recover feature. So if they get hurt or wounded, which they can in battle, you could use the recover and it's going to heal them back up. Now, if they die out in the world, you're not going to lose them. So don't worry about that. You're just going to come back to the nearest stable master, and that's where they should be, is in there. Now, if I go to this icon right here, it says mount. It shows the mount head. You could left click or right click, and it's going to do different things. Like if I go to left click, it's going to make my guy whistle, and I could call my mount. But the mount's going to be fairly close. It can't be a mile away or anything like that. It's got to be pretty darn close. But now, if you're not sure where you left your mount the last time you played, you could hit the right mouse button. It's going to put a little line on your mini map. Then if you hit the big map, it's going to show you a blue dotted line. We can't see it too good because we're in town with all these icons. That's how you could see where your mount is. But a really cool feature in this game that I really like is auto travel. So in other words, there he is right there. See the beam of light? Anything important in this game is going to show that beam of light. Even if you kill something and they got loot, it's going to have a little beam of light shooting out of the dead animal or whatever. So you know to loot it. But now say if I didn't see him, we could go up now that I made this travel point, and with the T button, T is in teabag, okay, we could hit the T button, and it's going to automatically make me travel to that destination, which is really nice. Obstacles can get in your way though, so you have to turn the camera and stuff like that to not get hung up on fences and stuff. And here's my mount. I just hit the accept button, which is the R button, and now I can ride him. Okay, see now, before we actually continue with the questing and some of the battle system, see already on how the time in the game's already changed so fast and drastically. It's already starting to get light time out. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. So the game time goes by really quick. I would say it's been about maybe 25, 30 minutes since the last time I shot the last segment of this video, because I wanted to edit a part out that was way too dark. I also want to mention a few things too before we continue. If you are out at nighttime and it gets too dark for you, they have what they call a lantern. You could get a lantern in the game, and it's right here. I got it somewhere in here. But there's a lantern in the game, and you need to buy the lantern oil, the oil for the lantern. And once you equip that on your guy, you should be able to see a little bit better when it's really dark outside. In this game, they have a feature that I've never seen in really any other MMO games, and it's AFK grinding, or AFK farming, I should say. So for a good example of this is AFK fishing. So you're going to see a lot of times, even when you're in a guild, you may see a lot of people logged on, but they're not all actually there playing the game at that given time. And if we go down to like a pier here, or a dock, or anywhere where there's a body of water, you're probably going to usually see a bunch of players all lined up. And what they're doing is AFK fishing. So you could actually do some AFK stuff while you're sleeping and going off to work or whatever you're doing, going off to school. You could actually keep the game up and set up the character to do AFK stuff, which is really pretty cool. All right, now let's continue. I just wanted to get that out there. So the next thing is we're going to go over some of the combat, questing, all that good stuff. Now, I already showed you about the travel nodes, how you put up the automatic travel paths and you could find your horse that way or any NPC in the game. This also works with quests too, which is really nice. You don't always feel like I never had to look up any quest yet because I never got lost. And not many games I could say that about. Now, I'm not going to be taking my horse this time because I think the reason why he was moving so slow was because there's a weight system in the game. If you get too much weight, so if I go to inventory, see at the bottom here it says weight. If you get too heavy, you can't move your guy, you can't accept items. There's a lot of things in the game you won't be able to do. So keep that in mind. And the best way to get rid of weight, there's a bunch of ways. Just clean out the junk in your inventory. But the main thing is banking some of your currencies. That because the silver coins in the game and the gold weighs the most. So if you could store that stuff, which there's tons of Google information on that, that's the best way to lighten up your load. And the same happens with your mounts too. If they get too heavy, they're not going to move quick. Okay, now it's always a good idea before we go out questing is to empty out our inventory so we can make room for more loot. So we're going to click on shop at the goods vendor. And let's see here, and we're going to get rid of a lot of this junk. So we'll get rid of that. Hit max quantity, okay. Max quantity, okay. Some of the stuff you can't sell to a vendor, so if it's junk, you would just have to drag it down into this trash bin right here and just trash it. Alright, so that's it for now. I don't want to spend too much time because this video is getting way too long. And now I'm just going to, now we were talking about auto traveling before. The quest has the same type of thing. So basically, if we go to a quest here, or if you press the O key and open up your quest log, it's also in here too. That's what these icons are to the top right here. Or move to, they're all over the place basically. But right here to the right of the screen is that quest log. let's see, if you click on this one, it's just going to put a mark on the map to show you where that quest is located. And like I was saying, I never had to Google a quest yet so far in this game as far as being lost, because this system works great so far. Let's just get back out of here. And then if we click on the guy that looks like he's running next to the quest, it's going to automatically take us there. So there we go. And I like to, yeah, I like to still, there's my horse right there. I was wondering where he was. All right. So I'm just going to leave him behind for now. And I know you're probably thinking, then why have a mount if you're not using them to go into battle and stuff? Because there's a lot of other functions that they have. Like they could pull wagons if you need more inventory space. If you're going to be spending a couple hours just going out grinding, you want to make sure that you have a lot of inventory space for the loot that's going to drop. And that's another thing that your horses can do, is actually pull a wagon that you buy. And plus, they do go up in levels, skill levels and stuff like that, and they do get stronger, and they even learn a couple of abilities. So if they do get attacked, they got a means of fighting back. And they can also wear armor later on, which is really nice. And that also helps as far as their defense goes. So I would take him. It's just I left him behind just to speed up the video a bit because he's not moving too quickly, and I think it's because I got too much weight on him. And the main reason why I did this video over this last section of it was because the other one was just way too dark, because like I said, it was nighttime and I couldn't find my lantern. So as we could see, we're getting a little bit close. You could always open up the map. He's still going to travel, and you could get an idea of where he is by looking at that arrow right there. And then we're just going to go in there, do a little bit of battling, and while I'm doing that, I'll explain to you about the PvP system in this game, and that should be pretty much wrap up the video once we explain that, because that is the most important, most activity thing in this game, especially fan game when you get to high levels. So now I'm going to be fighting basically right now with just my 2 mouse buttons. So I'm just going to get him going right here. If you stay within your level, you could pull a lot of these guys. The characters in this game are pretty darn strong. And I could probably do this up to maybe about, 3 levels above me. Now this is a quest objective right here. It says it right above it. And anything important in the game, like I said earlier, is going to show that beam of light shooting out of it. And that gives you an idea that that's something that's needed or needs to be picked up or looted. So as you can see, we're starting to clear them out. And again, the mob kills is what's going to give you the most experience gains. So we're just going to take these out. Now there's also, each class too has a way of building back what they need as far as their secondary, besides health, their health pool goes in the game. Like in this game, warriors use, I think it's called might. It's either might or WP. So, and a lot of classes use WP. And that's basically, if you look below my guy here, or even where my nameplate is above my head, you'll see that bottom line that's yellow. See, it's starting to get low. I'm actually going to deplete it right now. Well, there's certain abilities in the game, once you learn what those are, that once you use those abilities, it's going to keep that built up. So if you keep that ability that does that in your rotation, like this one does it, see, it built it back up. Because once you run out of that, you can't use all your skills any longer until you build it back up. So, but there's usually skills that will do that. But there's also a trick to it too. I don't know if this works for every class, or if it's only specific to the warriors. But I'm going to try to run out of that yellow line again, which is my might or whatever. So I'm going to try to find a bunch of mobs, pull them all together, and I'm going to use some of my top hits. This time I'm going to be using the game controller. I'm trying to get a bunch of them that's all together. There we go. Sometimes they aggro, sometimes they don't. Alright, now this is just the controller. Okay, so we killed them. And now I'm going to try to starve myself for the yellow. Okay, I just went down on the yellow. Now I'm going to hit shift and the space bar. Watch. It's going to build it right back up. It's going to take away some health points when you do that, but it's a fast way of getting that WP or might or whatever you want to call it built back up. Okay, and this is the basics when it comes to battle. Of course, you got to research and find out what works for your class and the rotation you want to use. But it goes to show you that at medium levels or whatnot, you don't have to know your class inside and out to really kick some ass. Later on, that might change, especially when you start PvP and you really want to learn about your class then. Alright, let's talk about the PvP in the game. After all, that's what Black Desert Online is really all about. The PvP in this game is non-faction based. So in other words, I know I'm always bringing up World of Warcraft, but we know in WoW you had Horde and you had Alliance. And the only other way that you could really fight against your fellow factions in that game was to duel, was to drop a duel, which was fine by me. Because something about MMOs, I don't like fighting my fellow brothers. Like, it sounds corny, but it's just the way I am. But anyways, getting back to the way that this game operates, there is no factions. So basically, any player can kill any player if they want to. Am I a big fan of that? No, I'm not. Maybe I'll end up liking it later on, playing with my guild if we do a lot of cool PvP events. But anyways. But there is a system in the game that kind of helps where the game does not turn into a gank fest, or what they call a PK fest, player kill fest. And that's called a karma system. And what the karma system does is you could still get attacked. They could still attack you if they want to. But if you have that karma system, let me back up a little bit first before I get into the karma. First of all, you cannot get attacked by another player until you're level 50 or above. So right now, I can't get attacked. And then it also goes by the servers that you're playing on. And like I said earlier in the video, you could switch servers usually at any time. But the servers in the game, what I mean is the most normal servers, which is the most dominant servers, the most populated servers, are the ones that support karma points. A PvP server, there is no karma points. There is no penalties. You pick a PvP server, it's time to man up to it because anybody could kill you. And they don't get any punishment at all by doing so. But like on this server, say, if I was level 55 and somebody went to attack me and I have my PvP option shut off, they could still attack me and kill me. But they're going to get negative karma. Now, karma points, what that does is we all start off, when you're at high levels, like 50 and above, most people start off at a plus or a positive 300k karma points. But then, as they go to kill somebody that's got PvP shut off or unflagged, it's going to drop their karma points to negative. And it depends on the situation of how much karma points you lose. It could be 2,000, it could be 5,000, it could be whatever. Once you get to a certain point in karma points, the lowest negative you could go at this given time is 1 million negative karma, which is a lot of karma. And so if somebody gets that low in karma points, they're hated by every town and city. They cannot enter a town without the NPC gods attacking them. Players can attack them no matter what their PvP is set at, without any penalty to that player that's killing the one with negative karma. How you get karma points built back up if you go too low, but it's going to take you a while if you're at negative 1,000,000, is by coming out and doing what I'm doing now. You have to kill mobs. You have to grind mobs. And once you do that, it's going to slowly start to replenish your karma points back up into the positive. Okay, I got no more inventory space. So the karma system in this game is pretty intense. There's a lot to it. And there's even a certain place, I understand, in the game, or a town, that's built for bandits or villains, which is anybody that's that low on karma points, where they could beat up on each other all day long and there is no penalties. But again, if they went to go into one of these towns over here, they would get attacked by any NPC gods. And that's basically how the karma points in the PvP works in this game. Now, as far as actual PvP in the game, besides just beating up on each other, which is not the main reason why we're all here playing, is that they do have actual planned PvP events in the game. They're not queued or anything like that, and they're all in the open world. And the most popular, from what I understand, is called PvP guild events. And what those are is where a guild would go and fight another guild. What they actually get from that, I don't really know. I don't know if it's just bragging rights or whatever. And of course, when you go into an actual PvP event, there is no karma, because you're automatically flagged as a PvPer. Then they have like a battleground, but it's not a queued battleground. It's like out in the world. And once you enter that area, you're in a battleground and you're flagged for PvP. There's an arena, I understand, too, that works the same way. And then there is Siege Wars, where, again, guilds, most things you have to be in a guild for endgame content PvP stuff. And a guild can actually take sieges and take over sieges or whatnot. So that's another form of PvP in the game. Then I read that they're supposed to be coming out. I don't know if it's already out. It's called Caravan PvP, where players can actually own a caravan or whatnot, from what I understand. And you as a player can attack their caravan and even take some of the goods that's on that caravan. I'm not 100% sure about that. If anybody knows, please comment below. And is there any other kind of PvP as far as more of a structured PvP? I think that's about it for now. And I'm sure that because the game's only a couple of years old, a year old or whatever, I'm sure that they're going to be coming out with more content as time goes on. And that's basically the balls and wax of this game right now for starting off, you know, of knowing what this game, if it's for you or not, and things of that nature. So I might really like this game because that's what the main focus in this game is. It's not doing raids. It's not doing dungeons. It's doing PvP in an open world environment. So until then, folks, thanks again, as always, for watching Wise Gamer. I know this is a pretty long video, but I think I covered a lot of basics that people would want to know coming into this game, so you know what to expect. Feel free to comment, sub up, and we'll catch you the next time. Have a good day. Bye-bye.